Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be talking about Cosmic Class and Cosmic Champions, and the champions that I think are most deserving of rank 4 in Cosmic Class overall. That being said, again, keep in mind that we all see game differently, we care about different things, and based on that, obviously, we will prefer different champions. If you do thoroughly enjoy using a specific champion, then go ahead and rank it up, and I'm sure you're going to get great results, because then you're going to learn the ins and outs of that champion. You're going to discover more nuance, you're going to figure out each matchup and how exactly the champion works, and you're going to be able to deliver much better results than virtually everybody else who would potentially use that champion. Therefore, if you do have some middle of the pack champion that you absolutely love using, or when I say middle of the pack champion, I mean what we or most of the community consider middle of the pack, but you think that champion's insane and amazing and you love it, go rank him up. Trust me, you're going to be surprised of the results, because you will do better than you think you will do. All that being said, obviously, only thing that I can do is express my own thoughts, my own opinions, also partially based on the interest in the game, and keep that in mind. I will try my best to point out for what specific game mode these champions particularly excel in, and why I would say that they are worth ranking up. But if these game modes are not relevant to you, then maybe those champions aren't particularly relevant to you. And also, Cosmic Class is arguably the strongest class in the game now, where there's definitely a ton of champions that are deserving that rank 4 title. So without a doubt, I will miss out many of your favorite champions, for instance. There are so many more champions that are worth our attention than I will mention in this video properly. So let's start where everybody expects us to start. It's Hercules. If you have a Cosmic Catalyst, you should give it to this guy. Hercules is just stupid. He's stupid. He's designed for lazy people. He's brutal. He destroys stuff. He destroys all the stuff. Battlegrounds, Alliance Quest, Alliance War, questing, virtually every other game mode. Offensively, defensively, he's not that stupid, but he can be somewhat annoying. Offensively, he's just a nightmare. He's designed for lazy people, where you don't have to read nodes and you just go pew pew pew. That's what he does. Also, like Alliance Quest, he can make a snooze. I use him often in Alliance Quest myself, where basically I just don't really care if I get hit and skeet by on that immunity for most of the chapter. And even if you make a mistake, just pop in a revive, no need to heal, and go nuke down everything else. Besides the immortality, which is a major part of why he's so amazing, so in my opinion, he absolutely has to be awakened, and ideally as high sync as possible. He has crazy good amount of damage, ability to bypass miss, ability to be stun immune, and has one of the best stun immunities in the game overall. Then level 2 with the massive damage against armor ups, indestructible on level 3. Yeah, just a complete package, and also Liquid Courage double edge friendly. So Herc is the stud of the contest at the moment. The second champion actually at the moment, I probably would say, is Gallant. Now, the problem with Gallant right now, and this is a huge disclaimer warning, we do not know whether Kabam will or will not balance this guy. I could easily see him getting balanced, because as Kabam said, if balancing program was active, was live when Hercules was released in the game, Hercules would have gotten balanced. So at the moment, I think if there is any champion that Kabam has released this year that will get balanced, I think it's going to be Gallant. Now, I'm not saying it will happen. I'm saying that if anyone's getting balanced, that's probably going to be Gallant. That being said, he's just a beast. Offensively annoying, super stressful to fight against. Defensively annoying, stressful to fight against. In longer fights, if he's quite healthy and chunky, he needs a very specific counter. But offensively, he just nukes everything. He's an answer to so many disgusting matchups. As a Cosmic Champion, has unique immunities to Power Control and Nullify, which is very wicked and weird. Then on top of it all, he has access to a whole bunch of buffs, resistances, furies, incinerates, and obviously the massive burst damage. Just crazy, insane, beefy guy, and I can't wait when I will get this guy as 6-star myself, because I really want to get this guy. Virtually good in every game mode, I think. Alliance Quest, yes. Alliance War, sure. Battlegrounds, definitely. Questing, 100%. So yeah, complete package right there. Parkling is another new addition that I think is well worth the rank 4. He's crazy versatile, also fairly annoying champion to go up against, and without a Mystic champion, you know, there are very few champions that actually do well against Parkling. So he's troublesome to fight against, so he can work as a defender on Alliance, War, and Battlegrounds. And then offensively, obviously, he's just a crazy damage and utility machine that spawns buffs like crazy, has double immunities to shock and poison. Then he has access to pierce buffs, massive damage through block, access to unblockable, immunity to power control, basically, and yeah, just amazing, very worthwhile champion. Moving further, we have Cosmic Ghost Rider. At this point, one of the OG kind of like old school damage machines compared to all the new and hip cosmics that are coming out. I can't believe I just said that. I'm not that old, I promise. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is CGR is not a young kid anymore. And he has well proved himself in the game. Crazy good for Battlegrounds. The best nuke in Alliance War, arguably, especially with Cosmic Power Boost. The best nuke in pretty much any contest, because I think CGR does arguably have the highest damage output in certain length fight. Obviously, in, you know, Everest type of content, there are champions that have higher damage output, and also very short form content, there are highest damage output champions. But I'd say somewhere in between 3 to 4, 500 HP, CGR is arguably the best damage dealing champion in the game. Works very well with and without Liquid Courage Double Edge. Obviously, he has his weaknesses, but there's also plenty of utility. Ability to nullify buffs as a Cosmic champion is quite huge. Tons of armor breaks, plenty of buffs, tons of power gain, and yeah, all of that results in a beautiful, beautiful carnage. So Cosmic Ghost Rider, in my opinion, is definitely well worth a rank 4 because he's crazy good. Now we have Hyperion, and I never have understood this thing. I truly do not understand this. People still sleep on this guy. This guy's released in what, 2017, 2016? There are still people who don't think he's great. Let me tell you this slowly. He is fucking insane. He's a crazy good champ. The best thing about Hyperion is how versatile his playstyles can be. You can pick a special attack and pretty much exclusively throw that. You can spam your heavies and avoid using special attacks altogether, and you're still gonna get a great damage output. You can rely on level 3s to do damage, or level 1s to basically only do non-contact damage and access ton of incinerates. Then you have access to regen, power gain, poison immunity, armor break, stun. He has the most amount of free power gain in game, which itself is super useful. So the end result of that is that most of the time Hyperion is not necessarily the best counter for a fight, but he's always one of the better counters for many fights. It's kind of like the reverse of Archangel, if you will. But because of that, there is so much value in the guy. As long as you can think outside of the box, you will quite likely find a way how to utilize Hyperion. Now, there are obviously champions that you do not want to bring this guy against, but in general, this guy can just shine in pretty much any conditions, in any content, and people should finally put some goddamn respect on his name. Moving further, now we have Null. Now, my personal preference does not lean towards Null. I'm not the biggest supporter of Null, but everybody who has a rank 4 Null absolutely loves him. And the reason is because there is quite a bit of a difference of Sig 200 Null and a low Sig Null. If Sig levels on Hyperion are pretty much irrelevant, you just won't have him awakened. CGR Sig levels are irrelevant. Parkling, yeah, higher Sig is nice, but you don't have to. Gallant, what kind of whatever, Hercules you want to. Then on Null, having him unawakened or low Sig is basically the same thing. The important thing is to have him max Sig. Then he's much faster and much more dangerous as a champion, because if you start with all of your 15 living abyss buffs at the very start from the fight, you immediately can ramp up much quicker and you do much better in short to medium fights. Otherwise, he's pretty much kind of like a long fight champion. Can be quite annoying defensively, I think we all experienced that in Battlegrounds as well. He can definitely be a bit of a pain to deal with. Offensively for Battlegrounds, he's not the best realistically in most cases, in my opinion. But again, if you do have him rank 4 sig 200, I'm sure you can find some good uses to the guy. And there we go. Thing about Null is, and I respect it a lot, where every person who has him ranked up pretty much loves him. I haven't heard too many people complain about having ranked this guy up, but keep in mind that if you do, you really, really want to have max sig level. Also keep in mind that Null will not be a Hercules. Null is not going to be a Hyperion. Null is not going to be a champion that you just casually bring in every quest and nuke everything down by the time you get level 1. He needs a bit of longer build-up. He needs a bit of a ramp-up. But there are very interesting qualities to him as a Cosmic Champion who doesn't rely on buffs, kind of ironically. And yeah, I do think Null overall, however, is worth a rank 4. Moving on, we have Kingroot. And I'm not joking. I thoroughly think Kingroot is worth a rank 4. He is an absolute hefty chunker. One of the biggest health pools in the game. I think he's like 3rd biggest, 4th biggest health pool in the game now. So it's a massive, massive chunky tree with crazy good regeneration. And now also a ton of utility. He's a Cosmic Champion that can shrug off debuff. He's a Cosmic Champion that has access to permanent armor breaks. Cosmic Champion that has access to poison, immunity to most forms of power control. And yeah, there is just a ton in this kit. And it's almost impossible to die with him when he's high sig. So I do think that Kingroot is very much so worth considering taking up to rank 4. I have him at rank 3 and I absolutely love that guy. Moving on, it's Cersei. Believe you me, I think Cersei is criminally underrated offensively still, somehow. She does have a fair amount of offensive utility. Obviously, primarily she's known as a defender for Alliance War and Battlegrounds and story content. So therefore, by definition, she's good for all those pieces of content as well. But the cool thing about Cersei is, because you can pull the rug under your opponents, or you can draft Cersei for defense, force opponents to get counter, and then use her offensively because her damage output is crazy good. Also, in longer fights, her level 2 healing can be massive. And then on top of it all, she has access to true damage, she has access to stun, access to unblockable, she can reduce durations of bleeds, shocks, incinerates, and heal blocks by 90%. So there is a lot there, and I haven't even started talking about the glancing buff, and the glancing buff is extremely potent and super helpful because it's guaranteed glance when opponents hit you, even if it is through block. So you can basically use her as a mini Proxima Midnight, if you will, bypassing a ton of annoying nodes thanks to her glancing buff. So there we are. And then there is a final champion. And final champion is going to be controversial, so don't yell at me. Don't. Listen up. Listen, Linda, listen. I think Silver Surfer is worth rank 4. I truly do. And not just for prestige, or not primarily for prestige. Now, unfortunately, due to the way his sig scales, you do want to have him pretty much at sig 200 to get the max benefit in order to increase the buff potency. But Silver Surfer is, at least for me, and I put my hands up, this might be a fairly personal pick, even though I don't think it is, because he is pretty much a meta attacker in Battlegrounds. He really is. People do not understand how good this guy can be in Battlegrounds with so many tricky matchups that he can do. He can do your Havocs, he can do your Bishops because he doesn't take Incinerate damage, he can do your Killmongers because he armor breaks. Pretty much most of his damage comes from his combat and his secondary burst physical damage. Therefore, he can take down Maulmans and Kingpins and a whole bunch of other things extremely quickly. He's one of the best penny parker counters if you know what you're doing. And honestly, he has been one of the most reliable Battlegrounds attackers for me personally. And on top of that, I genuinely use this guy every day in Lion's Quest if I'm not running Liquid Courage Double Edge. You can scream, you can yell at me. I think he's worth rank 4 in his own right, without looking at his prestige. I truly do think so. Specifically for Battlegrounds, specifically for Alliance Quest. I don't think he's lemon at all anymore. I think he's very, very valuable champion. I love the fact that I have him at rank 4. He's one of my most used rank 4 champions in my account. And now I have, 14 of them. So take it for what you will. Obviously, I'm not saying that he's better than Hercules or Gallant or whoever. I am, however, saying that Silver Surfer would surprise you if you would take him to rank 4. That's it. I'm going to leave it at that. And we do have a ton more champions that haven't been mentioned. I do think that Venom is well worth a rank up. I do think Venom Pool is worth a rank up. I do think Odin could be worth a rank up for many. Even Nova potentially. Medusa. Why not? Right? I do think that Gore. I have a rank for Gore. And I really like rank for Gore. We have Corvus and we have CMM and we have Angela. And we have Vision Arcus, and we have even OG Thor and Terex, and there are so many good champions in this Cosmic class that I genuinely think that at this point, Cosmic is probably the best class in the game. Let me know what you guys think, and I'm gonna catch you guys later. See ya. Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information about the next